SBR Videos is sponsored by Sports Cash System. Click on the link below for more information. Viewing Week 1 in the NFL here at SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we're talking right now with one of the most respected opinions in NFL capping in the world right now, Scott Kellen from SixCentsSports.com. He's been doing this for more than 10 years, and NFL is all he does. Again, his website is SixCentsSports.com. Scott Kellen, thanks for being with us this week.
You got it. Thanks, Peter. Excited to be here.
Now, give a plug for your site. And again, like I said in our last spot, my favorite thing about doing calls with you is that the information you give us sheds light on not only just the game that we're discussing, but both teams going forward and situationally, to other games this week and, for other years as well. Give a plug for SixCentsSports.com.
Yep, Peter, the listeners can go to SixCentsSports.com. We've got half-season packages as well as full-season packages. Check out my record there as well. And if they have any questions, obviously they can shoot me an email and be happy to answer any questions they may have as well at SixCentsSports.com.
Very happy to have you back this year, Scott Kellen. Green Bay at San Francisco. San Francisco's 4.5-point home favorite. This is, probably the biggest game, the game of the week that's gotten the most attention. Of course, it's a rematch of the divisional round playoff game last year that the Niners won 45-31. And, Green Bay basically had no answer for San Francisco in the playoffs last year. That they went back to the drawing board and are trying to come up with an answer for them for this game. The question is, will they be able to? I'm not sure. They have a bunch of injuries. San Francisco, a lot of people, picking them to win the Super Bowl this year. What do you like here? San Francisco minus 4.5?
Yeah, I'm going to lead towards San Francisco. As you know from previous years, I bleed green and gold. And the Packers actually might be a better team this year than they were last year. But this is just a bad matchup for Green Bay in the physicality, that San Francisco brings. And you go back to, interestingly enough, the Packers started their season last year with a loss to San Francisco and, of course, finished their season with a loss to San Francisco. And the more telling game, I think, might have been that first game. A was in Green Bay, and San Francisco really dominated that game. They won that game 30-22. Alex Smith actually had a good game in that game. I think he completed 20 of 26 passes. They outgained Green Bay 5.8 yards a rush to 3.2. They outpassed them 6.4 to 5.9. They outgained them as a whole 6.1 to 5.3 yards a play. The Niners scored on 5 of their first 6 drives in that game. Meanwhile, Green Bay scored on only 1 of their first 7 drives in that game. And Green Bay also had a punt return for a touchdown and then scored real late in the game when they were down by 15 points to get it back within 8. So San Francisco dominated that game. And then we know, obviously, we all seen what happened in the playoffs with Kaepernick in there. 49ers dominated the time of possession in that game, 38 to 22 minutes. They won that game 45-31. Green Bay scored, I think, in the last minute of that game, and then also started that game out with an interception return. But San Francisco really dominated that game as well. And when you start to break down these teams, the San Francisco offensive line is a fantastic offensive line. In Green Bay, Green Bay runs their schemes to really protect their offensive line, and they do a very good job of that. But that offensive line is average at best. They lost Balaga in the preseason this year. They're scrambling to fill holes at both tackle positions. The guards are pretty solid. The center's okay. But what happens, with those tackle positions, especially now that they're scrambling, who knows how they're going to perform. And now San Francisco gets back both of the Smiths, Justin and Alden, who played in that game last year, but they're healthy now. And they potentially could wreak a lot of havoc on that Green Bay offensive line. And then, just subtly, Phil Dawson doesn't seem like he misses a field goal at all. And when you start to compare him against Mason Crosby, who's really struggled the last couple of years, that could be a difference maker in the game in terms of who covers the spread as well. So San Francisco applies to a very good Week 1 situation for me. That's 47-15-1 over the years. Yeah, San Francisco, they're down some receivers. They've lost, Goldson as their safety, on defense. So there are some parts that are different this year. But I just don't think this is a real good matchup for Green Bay. From a total standpoint, the last 4 times these teams have played, they total at least 50 points in every game. But I don't know if this is going to be a real high-scoring game. I think the Green Bay defense are very deep on the defensive line, so their defense I think is actually going to be pretty decent this year, and hopefully will be able to hold San Francisco down a little bit. And San Francisco, it remains to be seen how they're going to attack this game. But with some of the receivers missing, they may just try to run over them a little bit more. Again, a time of possession thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's a little bit lower scoring. But these guys have scored a lot of points in the last 4 times they've met. But I'm going to lean towards San Francisco. I think it's just a bad matchup for Green Bay.
Scott Kellen, lukewarm lean towards San Francisco, minus 4.5. Thanks so much, Scott. We'll talk to you again next week.